Welcome to Outlaw Woodworking. Today we're lucky enough to finally do some dust collection in our shop. One thing about dust, it's bad for you. And not only is it messy, but worst of all, it's bad for you. And for years I used a shop vac and I would shake out the filter, blow it off with an air nozzle. And I thought that worked pretty good, but the more research I did, the more I learned that the filters, you need to get that air coming out of the shop vac or whatever vacuum you're using. That air should be as pure as possible. So I'm almost 60, and I decided that it was time to, be smart about my health a little bit. And so I went from a shop vac, which you'll see right here, to I added a small desk deputy, one of these same units, but the miniature one. And that one worked really well, actually. But the only problem was, it's a 2-inch, and the way you're lugging it around with your shop vac, I did use it for a while, and then I actually permanently hooked it up to my chop saw for a while. But it just, you needed more, and the filter needed to be more. Like, even if you're separating your chips and stuff and making it easier on cleanup, that air is still going through whatever filters in that shop vac. And you can buy some nicer filters. Matter of fact, I did. And they work a little nicer. But what I decided to do was I invested in a Dust Right wall mount system. And I'm going to install this in a two-stage system, which means I'm actually going to incorporate the Oneida Dust Deputy, but the 4-inch, the bigger one. And I also incorporated a barrel with it. I don't know how long this barrel lasts. I tend to like to do some work, so I'm hoping that this thing will last like a couple days, 2 or 3 days, before I have to empty it. And then the filter, I got the filter that's a 1 micron filter, so I'm hoping that the air in here will be a lot better. And even though I live up in the mountains and the air is just amazing, although it's hard to breathe. I'm at 8,000 feet, but the air is really nice. And so I ordered the quick change tool set, which supposedly comes with this vacuum, but this is a pretty small box. I don't know if that's in there or not. And then I got the quick change tools so that I can hook up to my different attachments. I might have to get a few more of these, but for right now, that's what I got. And then I got the wall mount kit for the docking station for the hose. And then I got the 1250 CFM wall mount dust collector. So you can see in this picture, I don't know if you can see that, but it has this big bag. But that bag gets removed, and then this big filter here goes in that place. And I'm hoping to go right out of that thing into the top of here, into the top of this dust deputy. And yeah, I'll take you along for the ride, and I'll tell you how it works. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the video. Right here I installed the Oneida Dust Deputy 4-inch Cyclone to the top of this barrel lid. Now this barrel lid is super thick plastic, but it showed up warped. I think it's still going to be fine. So what I do is I go through and I drill holes all through the Dust Deputy had holes in it, so I just followed the pattern and drilled all the holes in the center of this barrel lid. And once I got them all drilled, I cleaned them off and realized that some of the screw holes were hitting these ridges on the inside of the barrel lid, so if you do one of these jobs, look underneath and you'll see those ridges that, and just you know, line up the bolt holes a little better than I did. It still worked out fine, but it's just it would have been a little more convenient not to be so close to some of those ridges. So right here I just clean it up with my chisel and some of the plastic shavings and stuff, and kind of smooth it all out and get it ready to bolt together. Now basically it needs a 14-inch hole, so I just jigsawed out this 14-inch hole, and then you take this insulating tape and you run it around that 14-inch hole as close to the bolt holes as possible is what it shows on the directions, and basically as close to the bolt holes but without covering the bolt holes, and it seemed to work out really good. There's enough bolt holes in this thing that I think that it's going to re-contour that warpage, so I don't think that's going to be as big of a problem in the long run. But it was a little disappointing that it was so warped. Anyway, I get the gasket on and then I proceed to put all the bolts in, and pretty easy. Just I kind of went through and after I got them all the bolts in, I actually started to torque it kind of like a head gasket, where you kind of, or a wheel on a car, where you kind of do crisscross pattern, alternating holes and stuff. And so I went through and kind of tried to torque them all down evenly, and it seemed to flatten it out a lot better. But you know, we'll see. I'm gonna run a few tests on it, make sure that nothing's leaking. There is a spot on the bottom where if it is leaking, I can silicone this on the bottom and it should seal it up really good. But here you can see I go through and I torque them down, not too tight, but you know, right around 20 on the screw thing, and it turned out pretty solid. I went ahead and stuck it on the barrel, and it has a nice, the barrel lid itself has a really nice seal. It's just, I was a little disappointed in the warped top, but otherwise it came out really nice, and I think it's gonna be a pleasure to use, because it's gonna be easy to take and empty out, and yeah, it'd be good. So right here I'm taking the Dust Deputy, or not the Dust Deputy, the Dust Right shop adapters, and I'm putting them on all my equipment. The first one I put on was on the Grizzly joiner, and this is on the Grizzly bandsaw. They're both 4-inch. And then I go over and I after I put this bandsaw 4-inch one on, I go over to my bandsaw, or not my bandsaw, my chop saw, and I realized that, you know, on the chop saw it's a little more complicated, because I've got a 2-inch line going out the back of it already, and there's not an easy way to do this. So I think I want to have a Y in there, because basically what I want, the chop saw makes a lot of dust. So what I ordered was, I ordered an adapter to go on this wall. It's called an equipment adapter. And I also ordered a Y, because what I want to do is have a 4-inch, I want to hook a 4-inch up down there, but I want it to have a Y right behind it, and 2-inch go to that port on the chop saw, but then another 2-inch one go up into that box for better dust collection. And then here I'm putting one on my table saw. Worked out perfect. And yeah, all the adapters work out perfect. They seem to have a lot of good parts too that you can get. So I actually today ordered a few extra parts. I ordered some parts for my router, and then a couple extra parts for the chop saw, and I'll try to update you on those. You know, the handle, they kind of fit weird, but I tried them out after it was all done, and it works really well. All right, let's get this thing open and see what it requires. This thing actually isn't very light. It weighs about 85 pounds. I saw the UPS guy actually struggling to get it up the driveway. Here's the big filter, which we might not need. Oh, just some rubber hose. Key with a cap. Some bolts. Trash. We got a remote. We got some lag screws, an Allen wrench, and some tape. Now I thought these things came with, oh, maybe this is it. Okay, yeah, this is it. So this right here is this is basically a vibration plate. So, and then right here, instructions. Okay, basically this goes on there. And at first, the lag screws, and then you can hang this unit right on there. And it has a nice remote. Now, a lot of guys use those stud finders, but I use a magnet. And that tells you, that's the center of that stud right there. So we could technically mark that right there. And then mark 16 inches. And there should be another stud right there. So, yeah, perfect. So that's the best way to give you a stud location. So we could just use that and screw it right into that unit. And then we already have 24-inch clearance, so that would work. Okay, I think what I want to do is put a piece of plywood as a backing for this whole thing, just in case I want to screw some supports or something to this. So let me see what I have. I have a leftover piece that not only could I hide this piece, but it would be good support for the whole unit. Right at 12 inches, right on that line. Now I want this thing to be perfectly level, so now this unit only weighs 85 pounds, but you still don't want it falling off, so. Now we still want this, we want this unit, the lag screws, to go into the studs also, not just this template. It's funny, I started out with four pencils. I don't know what I did with one of them somewhere. Okay, so there's my 4 holes for my lags. Alright, that's a beast. Okay, we're going to tighten those down. need to be too tight because you want that rubber to work. Just snug it down where the rubber's. Okay, that thing's rock solid. I thought maybe there was a gasket or something between here and here, but there's not. So this just screws right on there. So that's it for that. Seems like I might put a gasket on there. It doesn't come with one, but it seems like you get a little bit of air leaking out of there. So I might put something on that. It's got a little cap here. Okay, what's next? Okay, next up the 1 micron filter. And actually, my wife was pretty happy about this. She worries about me sucking so much dust here in the shop. Okay, nice big package. This is the handle that you can actually clean the filter without taking it out. Okay, that is the filter right there. That's a good looking filter. It's got a few things in this package. And they're all important. Okay, you got your bolts for the top of the filter. You got your clamps to clamp on the filter to hold it there. Found by the pencil. Okay. Clamps, rubber washer, some more tape. More tape, and they give you 1 bag and 1 clamp. So that'll go on afterwards. Now we've got 2 rolls of tape here. So there is some foam tape that goes on the bottom, and this foam tape must go on the top. Okay, this small one is the one that goes on top. Oh, perfect. Next up, you put the brackets that hold the filter on. I just loosely mounted these bolts so that you can twist the filter emblem to face the front before you get it all tightened down. And it really is a 2-person job. I did this by myself, but you'd be better off to have 2 people, 1 person to hold it. It was a little bit of a struggle. Okay, next up, putting the filter bag on the bottom. We have another gasket to put on. This one. So actually, I'm glad I have the dust deputy because I wouldn't want to change this bag all the time. Okay, next up. Next up, we're going to figure out how to install this dust deputy, this 4-inch dust cyclone with the mounted trash can. Let us cut about 3 feet. I got extra hose just for this. So, I don't really need it shrunk in, so I'm going to stretch it out. Kind of give it a decent stretch. I need 3 feet. I'll give it a little bit more and cut it right there. Okay, so what we want to do is, basically, it's better to put the ring on first, just in case you have a hard time getting it on there. You don't have to stretch the ring over it. And sometimes these things can be bare to get on, especially if they're just barely the right size. Now, even though this is probably one of the nicer hoses that people make, you still want to be careful because you can damage them and they're not cheap. Okay. Let's get this thing right where we want it. Okay. That looks good. You want the ring. Always try to put your nuts in the, like if they're both screwing from one side, put them on that same side. Okay, there's what we got so far. Next up is the hose mounting. So I think I'm going to put all my handle stuff right here. So I'm going to find some studs here. So there's the center of the stud. And I'm going to mount a piece of plywood on there. Nice. Next up is the Just Right hose handle docking port kit. And we're going to set this on screw. Okay, rock solid. Couple straps, port. Basically, I grab it by the last wire, and that seems to make it easier to pull on. So this hose I got, my shop's only like 25 feet long, and this hose is 28 feet. So it should go all over my shop. That's gonna go there. And this is gonna go on there. Need a hose clamp. The hard thing is the first ring. Once that first ring goes on, then the rest of them fall pretty good. Alright, someone said these didn't come with a battery, and they don't. So I gotta go find a 9-volt battery. Be right back. So that's what it looks like all hooked up. And yeah, I still need to mount the tools. So right now, let's get those mounted. Okay, we're gonna mount another piece for our vacuum attachments and stuff right here. Actually, that plywood fit perfect. Okay, there you go. Down and dirty. Outlaw style. So the one thing I was explaining was, if you see the dust deputy right here, it has a 4-inch inlet. So the sawdust is sucking through, going down in there, air is going up here. Well, I can't really use this Y, because if I use this Y, it's going right into the filter. And so that doesn't do me any good. So really what I want is a Y down here on the dust deputy. So I need to forget about this and get a 4-inch Y for here that I can just run over and be able to use the secondary hose. I probably didn't even need a secondary hose. For some reason I ordered one, but it might be good if I decide to do a overhead to my workbench. I kind of want to do a 2-inch overhead over there, and I could do a 4x2 here with my smaller dust deputy under the workbench and have it just connect up to my workbench when I'm using stuff over there. Anyway, yeah, the install went good. I would say it took a couple hours to install, and it turned out really good, and it works extremely well. I'm going to actually pick up all this trash and this cardboard and then vacuum up the shop with it. Grab our big hose, and okay, I got the remote control. So I just vacuumed my whole shop, cleaned out my chop saw, my bandsaw, my tabletop, and there's a little tiny bit of dust in the very bottom, but barely anything. I'm pretty excited about this. This is going to change my dust collection dramatically. Hopefully it'll help me live a little longer, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the Dust Right 1250 with the 1 micron filter and the secondary dust collection, which is the 4-inch dust deputy with the plastic barrel. I'll try to leave a link for everything that I bought in the description. Anyway, this video is probably another long one. I can't seem to figure out how to do short ones. Thanks for watching Outlaw Woodworking. Later.